In the wake of the horrific murder of those 3 girls in Southport in July of this year, I asked some questions saying, please tell us the truth.
Today, we're diving into a case that has captured the nation's attention, sparking questions that remain largely unanswered. This ongoing Southport incident has left a significant information gap, leading to heated debates among political figures, journalists, and the public. Nigel Farage recently voiced serious concerns over what he describes as a disturbing pattern of information suppression. He and other members of Reform UK allege they have been effectively barred from discussing critical aspects of the case in Parliament. Today, we'll explore this growing controversy, break down the latest developments, and unpack why transparency around the Southport case is becoming such a crucial issue for the public. Let's start by addressing the incident itself and why it's been generating so much controversy. The accused, Axel Ruda Cubana, is at the center of a high-profile investigation after being charged with a series of violent crimes, including the murders of 3 children during a dance class in Southport, as well as attempted murder and possession of dangerous materials. This tragic event, occurring on July 29th, has left the community and the nation reeling, demanding answers and accountability. The investigation revealed that Cubana was found with a variety of concerning items, including a document related to Al-Qaeda and the deadly toxin ricin. Such findings naturally raised questions about how much authorities knew about Cubana prior to the incident, and whether any measures could have been taken to prevent it. Following the attack, Farage and other public figures have consistently asked whether Cubana had been referred to the Prevent Counter-Terrorism Programme, a government initiative aimed at stopping people from being drawn into terrorism. Farage claims he submitted a written question to Home Secretary Ayet Cooper to confirm this information. However, he was reportedly blocked from receiving any official response on the grounds of protecting the integrity of the ongoing court proceedings. This restriction was reinforced during Prime Minister's questions, PMQs, when Richard Tice, Farage's colleague from Reform UK, attempted to press Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer on the matter. Before Tice could even get to his question, he received several communications from Commons authorities, strongly discouraging any references to the Southport case. Ultimately, he was instructed not to directly mention Cubana or his charges in the Commons, with the Speaker himself emphasising these limitations just moments before PMQs began. Farage argues that this clampdown on information represents a broader pattern of fear-driven suppression from the government. He believes that the authorities are using the judicial process as an excuse to prevent public scrutiny of their handling of the Southport case. In an article for The Telegraph, Farage highlighted what he sees as the dangers of such restrictions, suggesting that the lack of information fuels speculation and distrust among the public. Farage writes, "In the current climate, there appears to be no room to separate the ongoing legal process from the questions that I posed over the summer. This is deeply troubling." Starmer's response to these criticisms has been to urge patience and trust in the police. During PMQs, he responded to Tice's question by emphasising the importance of supporting police efforts in cases like these, rather than undermining them. MPS can either support the police in their difficult task, or they can undermine the police in their difficult task, Starmer stated, making his position clear. But Farage and his supporters argue that there is a difference between protecting an active court case and withholding information the public has a right to know. He has accused Starmer's government of leveraging fear to suppress inconvenient questions and information. According to Farage, transparency and open communication are essential in cases of this nature to maintain public trust and prevent misinformation. Independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, Jonathan Hall KC, has added his voice to the conversation, suggesting that the government should re-evaluate its approach. In an interview with BBC Radio 4's Today programme, Hall stated, "If there is an information gap, particularly in the mainstream media, then there are other voices, particularly in social media, who will try and fill it." He urged both the government and the police to disclose whatever information they reasonably can, cautioning against the current silence, which, he believes, only fuels speculation and fear. Amid this heated debate, Cubana recently appeared in court via video link, where he kept silent, choosing to keep his sweatshirt pulled over his mouth and nose during the brief hearing. His trial is expected to continue, with the next hearing scheduled for November 13th at Liverpool Crown Court. With each passing day, the public's demand for more transparency intensifies, with many arguing that the government's approach of withholding details does more harm than good in a time of heightened public concern. This information gap is not an isolated issue. It speaks to a larger challenge facing governments in an era of fast-paced, often unfiltered media. Farage and his Reform UK colleagues are warning that failing to address public concerns and questions, especially in high-profile cases, can drive people to seek answers from alternative, potentially unreliable sources. In the absence of clear information, online speculation has flourished, filling in the blanks that the authorities have left unaddressed. In other news, the Labour Party faces a different kind of backlash over its proposed changes to inheritance tax for farmers. Chief Treasury Secretary Darren Jones defended the policy, explaining that the updated scheme would allow the first £1 million of a farm's value to be passed down tax-free, with a 20% inheritance tax applied to any value above this threshold. Jones claims that the policy mainly affects larger estates, arguing that most small and medium-sized farms will be left largely unaffected. However, many in the farming community feel otherwise, expressing fears that the policy could have a severe impact on the future of British agriculture. Farmers, already facing pressure from rising costs and changing market demands, argue that these inheritance tax changes will add another layer of financial strain. James Fairley, a seventh-generation farmer, described the proposed policy as D-Day for agriculture, warning that it threatens the long-standing tradition of passing down farms through generations. The National Farmers Union, NFU, is organising a protest in London to voice its opposition to the policy, which it believes could compromise the future of British food production and lead to increased prices. Conservative MP Greg Smith has criticised the Labour budget, describing it as a full frontal financial attack on British farmers. The Liberal Democrats have also expressed their opposition, with leader Ed Davey warning that the changes could affect around half of all farms. However, supporters of the policy argue that concerns may be overblown. Analysis from the Centre for the Analysis of Taxation suggests that only a small number of estates would be significantly impacted, with the vast majority of agricultural property relief going to the wealthiest families. The inheritance tax debate and the Southport case reflect a broader tension within British politics between transparency and control, as politicians, farmers, and the public grapple with difficult questions about government accountability and economic equity. As always, feel free to share your thoughts on these important topics in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel to stay updated on stories that matter. Thank you for joining us today, and see you in the next video.